my brother, Ford Kendrick.
What is up, everybody? This is episode 3 of our new little show. We're going to do it's a big week, so pretty much everything on the docket this week. Gotham, Shield, Arrow, and Flash. It was an awesome week as far as comic books on TV go.
All right, so now we're going to start off Gotham, Season 2, Episode 3. And I can just say that I was thrilled. I love this episode. Going into this, Gotham, I was enjoying it more than last season, but it was starting to worry me. And this week's episode was fantastic.
Best episode they've done to date. I'm not even sure that can be argued against it. There were no major things that I had to turn off the episode and get angry for a few minutes. It was a solid episode. I watched all the way through. The ending was obviously a big ending, but boy, they kind of pulled it off. So,
yeah, I totally agree. But I thought a lot of things went well this show. I thought that Bullock became more likable. I thought that what's his name? The Penguin was less annoying in his scene when they were up in there. I thought that little Catwoman Selina. At first, I was getting a little annoyed how she'd been the last few episodes of last season, first episode of this season. She seemed to just be going more and more petulant and kind of annoyingly bad guy without having more depth to her. But today, they gave her, this week, they gave her some depth again. I really liked this episode. I went ahead and taking notes, and I was already enjoying it. Things were going well, but I felt the need to say, man, I really hope Jerome dies. Everything's so overdone, so tired. I really hope he gets killed. And then the end of this episode, spoilers, my wish comes true.
Yes, and for the record, there will be spoilers for everything.
All the time.
We'll put timestamps in for people that haven't seen Gotham and want to listen to our review of Arrow or Flash. But for the if you haven't seen the current episode, then you're going to want to skip that section of the podcast.
That is for sure. So is it me, or how I keep commenting that they're in love with the Burton Batman movies, but are they also using Danny Elfman's score? I mean, they're bouncing around as they're going to do this magic show, and the magic show was the first time that all of the overacting seemed appropriate. But two, I swear they just have the same the circle, like the circusy music from Batman Returns.
That they couldn't draw from Nolan, so it's very likely that they're drawing from the next best or the next most recent thing. And Tim Burton's Batman's. Well, I guess they skipped Michael Schumacher,
which is okay. That's okay.
Yeah, but I mean that scene, the circus scene, regardless of how people feel about the ending, that was, I believe, the first time we've had every main character in the same room together and involved in the same plot line. So you had Bruce, Alfred, Gordon. I guess maybe Bullock wasn't there, but you had all the villains, and you had Selina there. You had Bruce. I mean, it was it's almost like Robert Altman-esque, where it was cutting through different parts and following different threads of the story in the same setting.
No, that was all very cool, and I also thought it was awesome that it was like, hey, look, it's Batman's first death trap. I thought when they brought him on stage, they had him get in the box. I thought for sure that there was going to be something starting there with the plot point, something with him being kidnapped or being threatened, but it still turned out pretty awesome. And as far as the ending goes, it was well done. I liked it. I really like this guy who plays Gallivant from True Detective Season 2 and a number of other things.
David Frayne. He's one of those dudes that is just now getting his I'm kind of a star. You go back and you watch Goodfellas or and it's oh, he's in the background there. He's one of those dudes.
Yeah, no, but he's always been good, and he's been a good character actor that doesn't usually, you're right, earn the limelight. But he's cool in this, and he adds some good acting credibility that isn't getting. It's not all over the top and crazy yet. So I liked him. I like this episode a lot. I was really happy with it. I think it would have been a solid episode for any of the shows, but especially given Gotham's track record, this was a big deal to me. I really dug it.
And while we're on that guy, Galavan, you said that was his name, right?
Yeah.
Dude, man, totally wants to bang his sister, right?
Yeah, I think so. To be fair, I kind of want to bang his sister.
Yeah, no, me too. I just I have this T-shirt where it has Jamie Lannister, Luke Skywalker, and then on the headline is "Hands off my sister." So I'm wondering if I'll have to add a third person to that shirt here in a year or two.
Only if his hand gets cut off.
Right. Only if they cut off his hand.
But then if he does, then yes, we definitely should. Were there any particular moments or anything that I didn't mention that you wanted to talk about for Gotham?
Well, Bullock, at this point, he's not playing Harvey Bullock. He's just playing Hank from Terriers, which is totally – that was one of my all-time favorite one-season shows. So if that's what he wants to do, great. But, he's lost all pretense of an accent, which if you watch the pilot, he's trying to do a little Bullock accent. And
I thought he was much better in this episode. I thought he seemed a little bit more nuanced. He wasn't just – I'm over the top and yelling all the time, and I'm Cantankerous Bullock. That's what they call me. I thought in this one he's pretty cool. He was good with Gordon. He was angry, wanted to help solve the murder of Essen. He was involved, and then when he went to Penguin, it made sense when he was getting all riled up and angry. It worked this episode, and he's such a good actor that he was one of the major disappointments last season, and that he wasn't better. He didn't have more depth. So I agree. He did a good job.
It's at this point, Gotham has become a show that I watched with hate, to a show that I watched with wistful. Oh man, I wish I could do. They could do that so much better. And here, and now it's just a good show.
Yeah, I agree. That was nice.
And this episode had quite a few moments. But the Barbara Keene has turned her crazy up a little bit, and I kind of like it. I
totally agree. I think that she's so much more interesting than she ever was before, and you know what? She's acting just as crazy as that Jerome Cat was, but it's much more natural from her. She seems to be acting like she's a crazy person as opposed to acting like a person who's acting crazy.
One other thing I wanted to touch on two things before we leave Gotham. Is Lee really going to cheat on Gordon with Alfred?
Well, that's one of the things I was going to complain about, or maybe I did complain about last week, was that out of the comics, we know that Leslie's always had this relationship with Alfred and with Bruce. It was more a part of their lives than just this chick that Gordon was banging. So even if she just has these weird flirtations, but yeah, I think she's going to bang Alfred. I think she's going to be like this Gordon Cat. He's always devoted to this, and he's seriously focused on this. He's kind of got to stick up his butt here, and he's always so focused. And she's going to be like, at some point, trying to bang this British dude.
And then totally. I don't know how that's going to work with, Ben McKenzie and Miranda Bachran's off-screen romance. But the second thing I wanted to mention was so we have prototype versions of so many Gotham villains. We've had Riddler, we've had Catwoman, we have the birth of the Joker. What about proto heroes? They were at a magic show. There should have been some young girl in fishnets. Not young. Okay, that came out really creepy. Yeah. There should have been someone Bruce's age in fishnets with a top hat, and they wouldn't even have to call or anything. We just would have been like, oh, that's Zatanna. Yeah,
but then you would have wanted the magician to be Zatara.
I wanted him to be Zatara. I thought that's where they were going before they turned that scene on its head. But but they could do proto versions of.
They could. You're right. They should. I want to see Wildcat running around. There could in Batman and Superman are the formation of the modern superheroes, but DC's a long history of heroes that don't go back further than them in publishing, but that have formed the foundation of their current universe. So I think that'd be awesome.
I was just really thinking, I was like, boy, that would add a whole new element to the show if, if it wasn't just like, Beta Bruce, we had other here. I mean, I don't even know how that would work, but like, oh, here's one how it could work. He could like go to some, he's more involved with Wayne Enterprises at this point. Have him deal with like a 15-year-old bald kid from Metropolis.
No, that'd be awesome. But you're right. The best would have been Zatanna, because he actually has history with Zatanna when he's a kid. Like he understudies for her and Zatara at some point, like to learn how to, like Houdini escapes and things like that, to learn some sleight of hand. Like he's, as part of his travels and his learning to be Batman, that's like part of his background. And so you're right. Zatanna would have been perfect here, but she'd definitely be perfect at some point because she's young. She could tie into a cooler adult story. They could tie in some kind of mysticism. That would be a good idea.
And that's a character that, there's not many that just don't really get mentioned anymore, like in far as new media or even like comics, really. She's one that is just kind of out there. Arrow doesn't really. I know Arrow said that they're not going to use her. She's not going to be in the new Justice League movie.
Well, there was talk about the Justice League Dark.
Right. That was but there's just it. I mean, that would be like 7 years. I mean, she's a character that they could absolutely use. I don't think anybody on the higher ups would have a problem with them using her. And we know that the Arrow has run into a few of those issues before, but they're not using her, and she's as big a part of the DC universe as a lot of the people on TV these days.
No, you're definitely right.
The other one I always reference when it comes to that is Plastic Man. Like he literally has not shown up in like 15 years in anything.
I think part of that is because if you look at Reed Richards in any of the Fantastic Four movies, it's hard to make that power look good. Even with today's special effects, there's been now 3 movies with a long, stretchy guy, and it's looked kind of weird in all of them. The most recent one was the closest. It's getting there. But for some reason, it's like that's some digital effect that they still have not mastered to make look real.
Well, in the like Elongated Man gets more run than Plastic Man these days.
Yeah.
The Flash was Arrow was when they chose Mr. Terrific as their like the added character for this season.
Right.
Elongated Man was one of the ones that they were tossing about as possibilities. And he had that cool run with Meltzer where his wife went crazy and like killed somebody.
Yeah, the identity crisis.
Yeah. But anyway, so Gotham and they could use a whole bunch of characters that aren't being used, and not just Bat characters.
Right.
Now, you referenced the Penguin scene. This is the last thing I'll say. That was his best scene of the show. It was succinct, it was clever, and I liked his reaction. Was like, why Gordon didn't come to me? I would have helped Gordon. Me and Gordon are friends, right? Like,
I love that guy. Yeah,
that was. I mean, I enjoyed that scene with John or with Taylor Lord, and I just really liked the way he said that. He was like, I don't know why he wouldn't have came to me, just like kind of innocently.
Yeah, no, he was good. It was like you said, it was subdued. It wasn't just over the top and crazy. It was real acting. He took a direction. He always has a direction. He's given this character a big choice he's always making. So he doesn't have to always also throw in the overacting. And he was good in this. And if he can tailor down his thing just a little bit, I think he'd be fine. And people already like him as it is. So I think he'd be fine for my taste, which is a little discerning, maybe.
So anything on the ending before we jump off of this?
With people just stabbing people in the street and laughing, and the whole Joker inspires basically the madness and villains of the future.
Yes.
I'm in. I'm totally cool with that. Gotham, I think, Gotham is supposed to be getting more and more corrupt and crazy up until the Batman point. And my only concern is, man, they're dumping a lot of crazy out there early. But I still think it's working well. I like that. I thought it was good.
I know it's sacrilegious to say anything bad about the Nolan Dark Knight trilogy, but like when I saw that, I was like, that's how Dark Knight should have ended, or Dark Knight Rises should have began, where like instead of Batman retiring for however many years, like it should have went with Heath Ledger's Joker, because he was like on screen, you know, he put himself on TV too, should have inspired, you know, Gotham. That was when we went to see Dark Knight Rises however many years ago, like I was hoping that this was the direction that they took the end of Dark Knight. And I know it's sacrilegious to say anything bad about the Nolan's thing, but boy, I was like watching this, I was like, man, that's kind of how Dark Knight Rises should have began.
I can feel that. All right, so on to Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Season 3, Episode 2.
That is correct. And I'm just going to say this right there. Another potential best episode to date, I think.
Yeah. No, I thought it was great. I was going to talk about how the first episode, we were a little worried going in. They were to drag out the Simmons thing. And nope. You know, they dive in. This whole episode, they're going after her, and it's about how to save her. And it was really good. I went in, I had all these questions like, okay, so what's this opposite end of the universe planet she's on? Is it Asgard, or is it the reverse of Asgard? Is there like an underworld that I'm forgetting the name of? And you know, maybe it's one of those. It's a Kree planet. And then by the end, she's home, and the whole thing is that was a good episode. And Fitz has become a really bad dude. He's awesome. I like his character.
It wasn't as action packed as sometimes Shield could be, but boy, it was just a strong episode. The Simmons thing, it almost feels like this was like because there were no other plot lines in this episode really, other than that one.
Right.
It's almost like that this was like the 5th episode that they were going to air, and then someone decided we need to tell the audience what happened to Simmons sooner, and like they like put it at the second one or something.
Right.
Because I really thought they were going to drag that out. And when Fitz transports himself to wherever, when he dumps through the black hole or whatever you want to call it, I was literally yelling at my TV, like, grab her hand. Like, you better not come back with that. I was so afraid that they were going to like touch, pull apart, and then when he comes out of the rubble, he's going to be like, I had her. And you know, 2 more episodes without her.
Yeah. No, I was sure that's was going to happen. He's holding her hand and it's slipping away. I was so sure they're going to click on the machine, pull him out, and 2 more episodes of trying to figure out how to go back to get her. But at least we know she's there. And I'm screaming. I'm like, dude, you have 2 hands. Reach out with your other hand. Grab her wrist. You know, dude, come on. And he did. He got her back. It was awesome. I was ready to be mildly irritated, ready to be placated as a fan, and they gave me a great ending that was exactly what I wanted. It was awesome.
Yeah, it almost felt too easy, and then they made it. They upped the harrow, if you will. You know that you always hear harrowing, but you know I'm going to use it as a noun there. They upped the intensity to where I was like, okay, no, just get her back. But beyond that, I love the kind of turning into Indiana Jones S.H.I.E.L.D., where they're like investigating old ruins and stories. Like, that's just a really cool side of the Marvel. So much of the Marvel universe and the cinematic is like modern and future, you know, building Ultron and Vision and from space. Yeah. Like, it's cool to go back and to know that like, oh no, this stuff's been around on our planet for a little while.
Right. No, I totally agree. I was super pumped when May got back in the fold. Seeing May and Hunter team up, that's going to be really cool. And May's father, who is the old kung fu master from Balls of Steel.
That's what it was.
he was funny, and now May's back, and May and Hunter and go hunt down Mord and Hydra. That's gonna be pretty awesome.
Yeah, May being a second generation Shield agent is, you know, that's an interesting take for. I watched this show, you know, fresh off the most Asian characters on TV, whether it's Fresh Off the Boat or which is, you know, that Greg Pak show, are dealing with like you know, being a new and having her being like a new immigrant and having her like being one of the oldest members of Shield, you know, and her family be involved for a while is just that's such an interesting part of the show. I would like to see her mom show up on Agent Carter.
Yes, that's what I was just gonna say, was being able to tie that to Agent Carter. You've got to think they're setting that up, right? Why? I mean, not why do it otherwise, because it does make her a more interesting character, but why pass up on it? You know, it's right there waiting for you.
It's right there. I was hoping that when Agent Trip died, that he would just have a grandfather that remarkably looked like him that could show up. Well, because the you know, his grand or whatever relation it is was in the Howling Commandos,
right?
And I just think that stuff is so cool. I don't know who owns the rights to like. I think they're the Invaders, the old like the original superhero team.
Namor, Captain America, and Human Torch.
Right. I don't know who owns the rights to that Human Torch, because like
I think it's Marvel. I think it's got to be Marvel. Yeah.
They got to deal with that on Agent Carter, then, right? Come on now.
They should. I think that Ward is awesome as a villain. Ward, the first season, like he was cool as the charismatic, good-looking guy who was the Sky's flirtation interest and all that, and he was good. But ever since he's turned evil, I've liked him more and more. And I feel like this episode, he really seemed to have found himself as the evil Ward. I liked him a lot, and I look forward to him and May, you know, fighting again. I think he's going to be kick-ass. I like what they've done with him.
He's I mean, I would go so far as to say that in season 1, Ward was like, I watched that show thinking like, well, he belongs on the CW.
Yeah,
he's the blandest, like most handsomest, like model dude you could ever like, but he had no personality. And now he's like this smarmy, like kind of greasy, like just I love him. And I mean, this is kind of, I guess, my theme for this episode is the weaving of the past, because, you know, his side is getting Von Strucker. I mean, like all that stuff is so interesting. You could have, you know, multiple generations of the same families fighting the same war, you know, within Shield and Hydra.
Definitely. That's cool. All right. And my last thing about Shield is they really are harping on it's Daisy now. My name's Daisy. It's not Sky. Like, I still don't understand why it's such a big deal. I don't get it.
I think that when Coulson finally got it right at the end, I think that's like the last time he'll say that, right? That's like put it to bed. But my guess is that they'll drop it for a while, and then at some point they're gonna have Sky have to interact with Ward. And you know, I just did it myself. Yeah. You're gonna have Daisy have to interact with Ward, and you know he's gonna intentionally call her like Sky 100% of the time.
Yeah, definitely.
Just he's that smart. Like he's just the dude. Whatever you don't want to be called, Ward's gonna call you that for sure.
I just, all right. I don't know. Maybe I'm just the bad guy. Because I feel like I don't know. That's cool. And it's good you found yourself, and it's good that you figured out who your parents are and your name.
Yeah, and supposedly Kyle MacLachlan had to, you know, go off and like shoot Twin Peaks season 3 because nothing can ever stay dead.
Yep.
But he's now done shooting Twin Peaks season 3, and so I imagine we'll see her pops again at some point.
That'd be cool. I mean, I guess, you know, you don't really have to right now. They gave him a pretty good, you know, ending last year. He's alive, you know, doing things, and it's safe and not killing people, and they've wiped his mind. So he's not needed anytime immediately soon, but he was good, so I'd welcome him back.
No, and my last thing for Shield would be, I don't know who they're allowed to play with as far as like famous Inhumans,
right?
Or if any of the royal families in play at all, or, you know, can they? I imagine no, but like, can we get the big giant teleporting dog with the fork on his head?
Lockjaw.
Yes. he would be such a fun addition to the show.
Yeah. No, I agree. I mean, it's cool there's Inhumans, and really it's cool they're just setting up the fact that they can have mutants too, it seems like.
Yes.
But come on, the Inhumans, like, come on, Black Bolt. I want to see Karnak. I want to see Crystal and Medusa. Like, the Inhumans are awesome. So I agree. It's some semblance or at least acknowledgement of the royal family's existence via Lockjaw even would be totally cool.
Right. I mean, it wouldn't even. That's why I was thinking, like, yeah, obviously Medusa and Black Bolt, no, and probably for good, save those for, if you're doing a movie down the line.
Right.
But yeah, what's the harm with the big giant talking? I don't even think he talks. The big teleporting bulldog with the fork on his head.
Yeah.
The internet would go crazy over that character.
Well, they're not gonna show Black Bolt, but man, Black Bolt's a cool character who's because he doesn't talk is going to work so much better on film than he does in comics. Because he's cool already in comics, but in film he actually had the chance to act. Whereas in comics, if you're not given dialogue, it's just some still frames, and it's better than nothing, but he can't use body language even to communicate. So in the movies, I think Black Bolt, once we get a chance to see Black Bolt, he should be really cool. I'm excited for that down the line, but I'm sure you're right. It's going to be the movie.
100%. But I was when Jia Yang was doing her thing at the end of last season. I do think it would have been cool if there was a we can't be too loud or call too much attention because we don't want the royal. She should have feared Inhumans above her.
Yeah,
and they wouldn't even have to reference them by name. We just would have known. Oh, she doesn't want to incur the wrath of Black Bolt or Medusa.
Right. I totally feel that also. Yeah. So onward to The Flash. Once again, I think this show is my favorite right now. It's just so tight and fun and lighthearted. And I love that they open it up with Flash Day. Flash, and then I directly opened. Oh, actually, I love the opening too.
Yeah, I was going to say, no, we have to talk about the opening because the opening was a buried dream sequence that involved. All right, I'm just going to read. He's running up a building, coming back down, and Heatwave says he's coming back around. And then your boy Captain Cold, with just the best delivery possible, just goes, "Yeah, to die."
It was so awesome. If he said that on Gotham, I'd be giving all the shit in the world. But it just plays so well on Flash, and he's chewing up every line of dialogue.
Well, it was. He had one line in this episode, and Wentworth Miller just like, "Yep, that was the best line of the episode."
He just nailed it, and he just walked out. That was it. He handled his business. It was great.
But that sequence is that was almost pulled from New Frontier.
Yeah.
Where Captain, I mean, not exactly that's what that reminded me of, was the Flash running up the building sequence from New Frontier.
I feel that.
But anyway, so yeah, this show, boy, I mean, that's where we had to start because it was just so spectacularly weird. But
die. It was so great.
But the rest of the episode, I mean, while it was probably the least action, he didn't do much running and whatever. Boy, the show's just it got me on all the right places at the end, where I was just like a puddle of virtual tears.
No, it was great. It was great. I love the beginning with the Flash Day. 1 second. Can you hear me reverberating? I'm hearing an echo.
It just started very recently. Hold on a second though. I have these controls though, so should I turn your mic down or up? What are you thinking?
I guess turn the mic down, or can you turn down the speaker of me?
Yeah. Oh, that's what it is. So you're hearing yourself from my TV then. Okay, yeah. Don't worry about that.
Okay. Anyway, the Flash Day. So Spider-Man, people are always not trusting him. The X-Men, people hate him. You know, Superman, this new movie, I like the way they're treating him with, is he a false prophet or this or that? You know, Gotham, Batman's a hero, but he's mysterious and kind of scary. But Flash and his city are a love story. You know, like there's the Flash Museum in the comics. They love the Flash. He's the beacon of hope that everyone else talks about being in their movies. And the Flash is that. He's charismatic. He's nice. He's loving. He's cool, and the city loves him. And so I thought it was great to start there.
Hold on one second.
Yeah.
Your video feed is a little choppy.
So is yours at the moment.
Okay, then it'll probably fix itself in a few then.
Cool.
Flash is all that stuff is what's missing from the rest of comics. That Jeff Johns hit on so much of that when his run. Mark Waid wrote a lot of that when he was writing Flash, whether it's Wally, whether it's Barry. He's like a celebrity, you know. Because he knows that no one can ever catch him, so that he's fine, you know, making public appear. Like that was great. I lost myself, so
it's okay. Well, right after that was Atom Smasher, and
right, okay, yes. I as a kid who grew up watching 90s wrestling was like, hey, that's The Edge, which was funny. But also the effects. I mean, boy, the effects are really good.
No, it looked cool, and seeing him get giant and holding the Flash like in his hand, like it was ripped right off the covers of an old, JSA comic or something. Like having the Golden Age Atom there, that was pretty cool. Now we just need to find Stargirl.
We had Ted Grant in Arrow. Jay Garrick showed up last night on Flash. There's Adam Smith. I mean, heck, the JSA, is probably not too far around the corner. We know
Hawkman's coming.
Yeah, and we know that there's they could just set it like on Earth 3 or something.
Yeah.
But no, that was awesome. Joe, the actor who plays Joe, I do not know his name. He was the Law and Order alum.
Yeah.
Yes, he brings such a different kind of energy to this show that Arrow lacks, that pretty much every other comic show lacks. He's always laughing and seeing the bright side of things.
Yeah. No, I think he's a good actor, and you're right. I like his character also, because he brings believability to it and he brings heart. But you're right. He's happy. He's laughing. He's dedicated. He loves his family. He loves his job, trying to save people. And things get bad, but he's got a good moral for it. He's a good compass for the other characters. Joe is he's awesome to have on the show. I think he really elevates it.
I love when the internet reacted with shock that Wally West was going to be black over the summer. I was like, have you guys not? I mean, what are Joe and Iris? Their last names.
The last names.
right. Did you now was the Ted Cord, the Cord Industries, that was an Arrow reference, right?
That was Arrow. Yeah.
That was on Arrow.
Yeah.
I was trying to think if there were any deep cuts that I missed on Flash. But so what did you think of Jay Garrick?
I thought Jay Garrick was cool. I thought, you don't have to go with the old man Garrick. That's how he is when I think of him as a kid, because even Hal Jordan was old by the time that I was reading in the early 90s, had gray hair, because DC has, tried to age their characters somewhat for so long that they actually get real old. But being that he's coming from Earth 2, we're not doing the post-crisis, it's all one timeline. Having him be a young guy, he's still an adult. He's a lot older than Barry, but he's still in his prime. What's he, late 30s maybe? He looks like, he's been superheroing for a while, and he should be cool, and he should be a cool new option as a stand-in mentor now that we've lost Wells and we're kind of juggling father figures and leaders here.
His appearance in the whatever they call it, the Cortex, was pretty awesome. They were like, Cisco's like, I finally fixed the security, so we don't just have, because that was the thing that the internet complained about last year, was just people walking in and out of that place. And then immediately it's like a meta joke, like he's like walks in himself. That was pretty funny.
Was happen
100%, but it was still. That's the thing about the show. Even when you see something coming and then you know what's going to happen, it still works.
Yeah,
and that's the. I mean, one of the things about last night's episode, which was so good, was that every character on the show had a moment. Caitlin had a moment, and I love her showing up to Flash Day without anybody inviting her. And then her and Barry together, when Barry's like, I don't want to watch this by myself. Cisco had a moment, and Old Man had a moment, which I just adored when he says, let's call him Atom Smasher. Cisco, like, welcome to the team. That was great.
Yeah, that was awesome. No, that was awesome. And I loved when watching Barry watch the tape from Wells, just watching him watch first the conversation, and then okay, now erase this. Now that I've lost my shit, I've learned to like you. If I can't win, may as well give you what you need and what you want. And now erase that. Let's do it. And you just see as he starts talking, and Barry's reaction is perfect. It's perfect. It's exactly what you needed. Exactly what you wanted. Exactly what you've been waiting for.
That scene was. I mean, that was an amazing scene. And we don't talk about direction much on these weekly television shows, but the choice to film that like to point the camera at Barry while he's watching it, and just hear it in the background, that was great. I mean, you wouldn't have got that same moment, that same feeling, if you'd just been watching Harrison Wells say that. And then that being said, you're right. The little conversation that he has with himself beforehand is so funny. He's like, all right, well, something went terribly, terribly wrong because I'm dead. So shit.
Yeah. No, that was awesome. I hope that what, Tom Cavanaugh, is that his name?
Yes.
I really hope that he's back to see. I read he was at some point. I don't care if he's going to be back as Reverse Flash. He'd come back as Wells. He's just a good, fun actor who brings. He's got a good energy and charisma that I liked on Scrubs. I tried to watch Ed, whatever his show was back in the day, I just didn't care enough. But I've always liked this actor, and he was great last season. I think my favorite moment of the show still might be he's talking shit, and then he puts on his ring, or he pops his suit out of his ring and runs into it to start the final battle of that episode last year with Arrow and Firestorm. Like, he has had great moments as Reverse Flash, as Wells, and he's just a cool actor. So I hope he's back.
I had read that he's back. I fear that they got him for like a scene, and that was the scene.
Like those, yeah. That's all I was worried about too.
That might have been it. But I, nothing bad to say about Tom Cavanaugh. And I like, Firestorm. Okay, so before we end about Flash, the story manipulation of jumping forward and then showing us what happened on that final battle, was pretty cool. And
I liked
him saving Professor and not being able to save Ronnie. It sucks, but as a person who has encountered multiple firestorms in the comics, that's always been expected.
Yeah. No, and it makes sense. And just because he's gone doesn't mean he's dead. The way that it happened in the Singularity, and we know that it led to people from Earth 2 coming here, there's no reason to believe that Ronnie Raymond isn't in Earth 2. And if they want to bring him back, they have a perfectly good excuse. I've heard they're already using the other guy, the replacement for Firestorm in the Legends of Tomorrow, though, right?
Yeah. And I know that I think it's like the third Firestorm was like one of DC's first African American like new heroes.
There was one of the Falling Firestorms was a young black kid, and then another one was like two teenagers both stuck in the same body.
Well, I was just gonna say, like, the first person that I guess like really the only other person that seemed to have any knowledge of Project Firestorm that Caitlin goes to, I imagine they're going to cast that same actor as the new Fire. I mean, I don't know if anybody's put that together, but it probably should be that same actor
from last season.
Yeah.
No, definitely. That was his name, right? Wasn't the same kid?
I don't know if I never. I mean, Firestorm was a character that never had his own book, and would just kind of periodically show up depending on who was writing Justice League.
Yeah.
So I you know, my experience with that character is limited to mostly Ronnie Raymond, but I do know that there were a few others.
I think you're right. There's got to go with the young African American guy. Got to keep going with diversity. But because they are keeping the old white guy, right?
Yes, which is I like that guy. He would like, you don't expect old dudes like that to be like into promoting their shows on social media, but like he's been trying to get the Flash cast to do Dub Smash battles against the Shield cast.
Dude, did you watch commercials last night?
Commercials? No.
There's a commercial and for Guitar Hero, and they have Diggle and Iris West challenging each other to Guitar Hero battle. And so the commercial is
that's great.
Yeah, it starts out her jamming, and then he starts jamming, and then she talks smack to him, and he's like, "You challenging me?" And she's like, "You challenging me?" And then they're like, "It's on." And yeah, so that was pretty funny. That was pretty cool.
We did not see much of Candace Patton last night, but I did enjoy that scene where Joe's like, well, has anybody tried, or has his best friend tried talking to him yet? And Cisco's like,
I tried.
Yeah, and Iris is like, come on, man.
Yeah, that was funny. They both look at him like, no one's talking to you, Cisco.
Yeah, but Cisco, they're hinting at his powers. In the comics, it's like he's got essentially the same powers as Daisy.
That's what I thought.
You know, but as well as being a ridiculous relic of the 80s and being like a breakdancer vibe. But I think the way they're going to take his powers in this is like he can like sense he kind of had a vision of something that was going on Earth 2 or something. Like,
yeah, no, I mean, you think it's the kind of theory, I think a lot of times where the parallel universes, parallel worlds are going on different vibrations. And
right.
The same theory is how Barry can vibrate through objects. So they're definitely going much more physics vibe than earthquake vibe, but
which is smart considering Daisy is on the same night as him.
And I think it's really more interesting. Like, no offense to Daisy, but Avalanche was an old X-Men villain who could do the earthquake thing. We've got, I know there's some other earthquake character in DC, I believe. Like, it's not like it's a super original power. And now we got Daisy, and then to also have him be Vibe, and that's what he does. This makes much more sense, and it's much cooler. And being that they're daring to jump in to Earth 2, it's great to have it. It gives him so many options.
And I know that some people are going to complain, like, oh, everybody in Barry's life has to have powers, but like all these characters were like, you know, it took my little brother like 10 episodes into Flash to put together that her name was Caitlin Snow.
Right.
And he's like, that's Killer Frost's name from the Injustice game. And I'm like, yes, it is. So, you know, all of these people were put in front of us, you know, the Wests are there. We know that, you know, their nephew is going, you know.
No, it's all with a purpose.
Exactly. And, you know, they came up with the MacGuffin for putting Villains of the Week into the first season with metahumans from the Particle Accelerator.
And so it makes sense that these cats who worked with and around the Particle Accelerator would be affected by it. It's not a reach at all.
but it's also they came up with another smart way to do that with like, and instead of metahumans from the Particle Accelerator this week, it's metahumans from other universes.
Yeah. No, they Flash it's the best one right now. It's just so well done. It's so smart, and it's so carefree. It just has a great vibe when you watch it, and no pun intended. And they do such an amazing job pulling all these characters together, and they tell a good story. It's serious. There's real stakes, but it's got such a good heart and such good humor. And Grant Gustin he's good. The kid can act, and he's charismatic. This show is just so tight, and they're just so ballsy. They just don't care.
And I love. And we can talk about Flash for a half hour, but Joe's line of like when the guy's like throat is crushed or whatever, he's like, Grodd? Like really hoping that he's like, I don't want to deal with a gorilla today.
Grodd? No, I don't think so. Thank God.
Yeah. Well, anyway, Flash is just awesome, and Time to Die was, oh my God.
Wentworth Miller, he's my new hero, man. I love this guy. He can do no wrong as Captain Cold. I know there's a Rogues episode coming up soon, and I'm pumped as hell for it because he is the greatest.
It's probably got to be. I know the next one is going to be dealing with Jay Garrick, but I mean, I imagine that we'll see him in Heatwave and his godforsaken sister.
Yeah,
pretty quickly, because in the preview over the summer, Cisco's like dating his sister, or at least like.
Hey, I hope so. I want to see Cisco get some action, man.
Right. Oh, I never told you my
terrible name, but go Cisco.
I never told you my theory on So Caitlin was totally sleeping with Dr. Wells last season, right?
I can see that. Because
like she had no reason to
sleep with Barry at one point.
Right. Yeah. And she was way too close. I just felt like that was never explored. And if this was an HBO version of this show, that's where they would have gone with that.
That would have been a good story for an HBO version.
But you know what? I'm glad that it's not. I'm glad that it's for that my little brother can watch it. We can watch it. Like it's. I'm glad that it's not any. The Flash does not belong on HBO.
No, there's no need for that.
Okay, well, moving on to the other half of the CW Power Hour, whatever you want to call it, dynamic duo. There you go.
Oh, there we go.
We have Arrow, and the show hits so close to home. But before we can talk about anything else, Hal Mother effing Jordan.
Yeah, that was so cool. I don't know, if people who are listening and watching this, if all of you saw it, but in the flashback scene when Oliver is with the Wall and they're in the bar and she's telling him to deal with his darkness. When it first opens in that scene, you see a leather bomber jacket flash by with the name tag Jordan on it. And it's hard to think that bartender is not going to pop back up sometime in the next few weeks. It'll be a real tragedy if he doesn't.
I lost my shit when I saw that. To the point where, yeah, I mean, Hard Traveling Heroes is the reason why I am doing this podcast. It's the reason why there's a Green Arrow show. And oh my God, that was just to have. Even if that's all we get, that's okay. I hope we get more. But the rest of the episode was a pretty awesome episode. We can talk about. We can talk about Diggle's new costume, or we can talk about Diggle apparently spending the entire summer just lifting weights and barely being able to fit into clothes.
Yeah, Diggle is ready to kick ass, and he looks jacked. But first, I just want to say, last season, I gave the actress that plays Thea a lot of crap, whether it was me talking to you or me talking to other people, or even the first episode of this podcast. I know I ragged on her choreography skills, and I'll say she looked a million times better. Just that opening sequence when she's Speedy, she may be my favorite part of Team Arrow already because she looked competent rolling around. They still switched to her stunt double for some acts, but it was no longer where if they were actually focused on her, she looked ridiculous. You know, her body positioning was good for the choreography. When she was holding the bow or shooting an arrow, it looked like somebody might actually be shooting a bow and arrow, not like someone holding one that never held one before. It looked good. She did a great job learning it over the summer. And then her enthusiasm as Speedy, just jumping around. She's like, yeah, what a rush. It's so much fun. Like, that's perfect. That's how Robin or Speedy, those guys are supposed to be, is that they're young and they're excited. They're full of adrenaline. And I thought she was great. So I just wanted to give a really good shout out to Thea because she was awesome last night.
Well, okay, so yeah, what she just said was kind of where I was going with that too. If anybody that says that Robin can't be done and taken seriously, just show them this episode.
Yeah.
I mean, the way that she was acting like young Dick Grayson, or running around, and she, when they got back, she was like, Ollie, why would you ever want to give this up? This is so fun.
Yeah.
And then when they showed her, her dark side, because she did come out of the Lazarus pits, it was believable that, she was about to kill that guy. Yeah, she's so much better. And I've always liked Willa Holland. She was a Summer's sister on the OC like 10 years ago.
I've always thought she was good at acting as Thea. Last season I didn't buy her physicality very much, and I don't know how much work she did over the off season, but it looks like she did a lot because she looked 100 times better right off the bat, and I was thrilled.
And Colton Haynes, bless his heart, just he struggled with some dialogue sometimes.
Yes. Yes.
And so I guess there's a couple things to talk about. Diggle's costume, the flashback, or however they're going to take that this season, going back to Leon Yu, or we can talk about who's dead. So,
well, let's finish with who's dead. Let's start with first. Let me make my one complaint, I think, and then let's go to Diggle. So my one complaint is I feel like the Black Canary, they've not given anywhere near enough respect to. Black Canary is supposed to be one of the most badass fighters on the planet. Like, if you put Oliver and Black Canary in a ring, Black Canary is the one coming out. Oliver. Sorry. In
the first season that worked, or in the second season,
yeah,
like Sarah's Black Canary, like legitimate. There was a scene where she's training with Roy and Diggle, and like is just casually like tripping them both up and kicking both of their asses,
yeah,
and not even like really trying. Sarah's Black Canary, 100%, they gave the respect she deserves. Laurel's is treated, in the show's context, like, I guess kind of appropriately, No,
she is, but I'm saying the show, like, she respects Black Canary enough. Like, I'm okay with, I understand she's not going to have the background of, well, she was trained by her mom or any of that kind of stuff. Okay. But she was being trained by Nisa, and then she was being trained by Ted Grant. She should be still being trained. She should be being trained by someone bad as hell, because there needs to be a reason for her to be that good that she's out on the street kicking ass. And my other problem is that she still needs more choreography work, because they'll be filming her fighting people, and they'll leave a little bit too much of a wide shot and allow things to happen a little slower. And she just does not, the fight, it does not have much impact. It doesn't have much urgency. You know what I mean? It doesn't look like a dangerous fight. She has become, the weak link has gone from Thea to her, I think.
Well, for me, she was always the weak link. I can never take her fighting seriously. It just looks funny, and that's not being sexist, because I am the first person to praise Peggy's fighting on Agent Carter, or May's, or Daisy's.
Last year,
Nisa was awesome too. Yeah, Sarah's, I just meant Sarah's was awesome. Yeah. I really think the biggest flaw of the show was that like they cast Katie Lutz as Sarah Lance and they cast Katie Cassidy as Laurel Lance, knowing that Laurel's the one that, you know, sticks around.
Yeah. No, I agree. I like Laurel. I like the actress that plays her some of the time. I feel like they have her doing dumb things as Laurel a lot. And I feel like she's out of her league a little bit when she's playing Black Canary. As Laurel, a lot of my problems come with her being, you know, a district attorney or in that district attorney's office and constantly solving problems with legal maneuvers that, being the child of lawyers, I know are ridiculous. And so she'll say, oh, well, we'll do this. And I'm like, no, that's not something you can do as district attorney. That's not how court works. That's not how the justice system works. This is ridiculous. But that's not really her fault. That's a little sloppy attention to detail in writing, I guess.
Yeah, and I mean, beyond Laurel though, it is just nice to have all, you know, Team Arrow back on the you know, in our life.
I like Laurel when she's acting, and especially when she's acting outside of the DA's office and not fighting. So I agree, and that was my only complaint, was just I think she's become the weak link in the choreography scenes. And other than that, I thought last night's episode was phenomenal.
I loved Ollie's just incredulous reaction at basically being Lois Lane to Felicity. Like Clark, you know, like she was fooling him while they were on vacation being the superhero, and he's like the dutiful husband cooking for her, and she's like solving crimes behind her back.
That was awesome.
What a way to flip the roles.
That was great. That she's secretly Oracle and doing. Yeah, no, you're right. That was totally. And you know what else? I love Neil McDonough. He's going to be so cool to have on this show on a regular basis. He is a good actor. He's legitimate, and he comes across threatening. And as Damien Dark, he was solid last night, man. I like what he brings to the show.
On the way he stopped the arrows, he's like, "Oh, we haven't introduced myself. I'm Damien Dark." Like, that was great. And most of the times when shows try to like, oh, we're going to turn a good hero bad, or we're going to turn a bad guy good, you can see it coming from a mile away. I was legitimately shocked when it was Captain Lance working with him.
Me too.
That was a legitimate shocker.
I'm still surprised and curious how this is going to go down, because I would never expect that, and there's got to be. That's why I'm thinking maybe, I guess we'll jump to the end now. But at the end we see Oliver next to a tombstone.
Okay, before we jump to the end, I just want to throw a couple theories out. All right, so we know Damien Dark dealt with Ra's al Ghul, League of Assassins, all that stuff, right?
Right.
We know that Sarah is dug up from her grave and brought back for Legends of Tomorrow.
Yes.
So my guess is that he gets Captain Lance to work with him by like, well, I'll bring your daughter back.
That makes sense. That would not surprise me at all.
I mean, once I came up with that theory, I was like, oh, I'm actually confident that will be the reason.
My theory was that he's playing the long con, and he thinks like the only way to stop this guy with no arrow and with how badly the city is going down and how outmatched the heroes and cops are, the only way to stop him is to try and get in from the inside. And around the mid-season finale, he's going to try and make his move to stop Damien Dark, and Damien Dark will kill him.
I could definitely see that. Now, before we get to the end, just a quick little references. Hal Jordan's just killed, awesome. I Ivy Town, the place that Felicity and Ollie were like, pseudo having a suburb life or whatever.
Yeah.
That's Ray Palmer's town.
Huh.
Like from the comics. That's his city. I had no idea. I mean, Ray Palmer's never had his own book, so I would never have known that, but
yeah, the the closest thing to reading an Adam standalone book was the 52, following him on his adventures through the multiverse.
Right.
Or the microverse, whatever. Palmerverse.
And I guess we're forgetting Cord Industries.
Yeah, that's right. They brought in Cord Industries. That was a cool toss in, and it's. Do we know if they're supposed to bring in any Ted Cord actor or Blue Beetle or anything like that? I know I've heard talk of Blue Beetle and Booster Gold being around somewhere at some time. I haven't heard anything like set.
Supposedly they used they're using Rip Hunter for Legends of Tomorrow because, and this is a quote from Guggenheim, the showrunner, Booster Gold and Blue Beetle are being quote unquote saved for bigger things.
We've got to do the time traveling heroes, right?
I mean, that's I imagine that 2019 or whatever we'll get a booster. Yeah, we'll get that movie. But this whole not being allowed to use characters thing is just stupid. Because if that's if we're only getting a jacket and that's the like, well, here's Hal Jordan because we can't actually use Hal Jordan, that's cool, but that's kind of bullshit.
That's bullshit. I love Oliver in the past. And I love the idea that we're going to see him deal with mysticism, and I love the idea that he started being Green Arrow basically 3 years before the show starts, and that 100%. He's got extra history where he's more in the alleys and he'll be back on the island for a while, and that he's dealing with other things. But they ask him, oh, well, how do you know that this isn't, or how do you know it's dark magic or mysticism? He's like, because I've seen things. I'm fucking Green Arrow. I'm Green Arrow. Like, I thought that was a great little moment.
Well, my favorite place in the DC universe is this little known bar called the Oblivion Bar, where all the magic people hang out. And it's actually been referenced on the show before. Sarah says that she used to work at a bar called Oblivion. And we know that we're getting, Rip Hunter and we know we're getting John Constantine.
Yep.
Why can't we, Oliver have hung out with Detective Chimp or whoever at the, Oblivion Bar at some point on his travels?
Because Detective Chimp is ridiculous, but still, you're totally right. Detective Chimp, Enchantress, Constantine. I'm excited for Constantine. That's right. That's going to be cool seeing him on the show. Just keep going. Just look at Flash. Flash is incredible. Just dive in. Just grab from everywhere. Make this universe huge. It's so cool when they do it.
Well, that's what I was thinking. That's what I was thinking that might actually be a place they could go, because the magic side of the DC universe, the movies aren't going near that.
Right.
They're like Dr. Fate. We'll let Marvel handle that and see how that goes. They haven't even made a Wonder Woman movie yet. They're not going to be making
anytime soon. Oh, the Spectre. They need to make a Spectre or something.
Well, that's what I was thinking. I mean, there's that side. They could go Spectre. They could go Dr. Fate. I mean, they're who's the guy with the hat? Phantom Stranger.
Yeah.
All the ghosts. There's a whole bunch of ghosts that run around DC universe.
I love Deadman. Deadman. Awesome.
Yeah, it was Deadman, Gentleman Ghost. There's a whole bunch of and whether they're Batman or Superman, they're just there. Some of my favorite stories in the DC universe are just that time that Phantom Stranger was transformed into a mouse and no one could deal with the Spectre. And I just, those stories are great. And I guess Enchantress is going to be in Suicide Squad, but I mean,
yeah, she is. And which is cool. And Suicide Squad, I'm super pumped for. So don't get me wrong, that's awesome. And if they were to do the JLA Dark, that would be great. It seems like Constantine. I think if Constantine had been on Netflix, even AMC, where it could have been a little bit closer to a hard PG-13 or an R rating, where they could have allowed him to smoke, where it could have been more serious. I think that Constantine could have succeeded. I just don't know. I think they started off a little bit awkwardly and didn't know what they were doing, and then they couldn't make the show quite right on NBC.
Well, the good news is that all of these shows hit ratings highs over the week.
That is good.
Shield had its highest rated episode. Flash had its highest rated episode, and Arrow had its highest rated episode since the premiere. Which is it shows that what the reason for this podcast is true, that it's not saturation as so much like a building up of people's expectations for this kind of story to be told on TV.
Right. Is there anything else from Arrow that we haven't covered? Oh, the costume. How did you feel when he walked out in the Green Arrow costume? And then he says, I'm this, I'm doing this. This is who I am. That's dead. I'm Green Arrow.
I mean, as a Green Arrow diehard, that was the one I've been waiting for since the first episode. The arm guards, how hard was it? Did it really take 4 seasons to give him arm guards? She shoots bows. They should all wear arm guards.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why they're there in the comics, So one of my favorite Green Arrow stories was Judd Winnick's story where Oliver Queen ran for mayor of Star City.
Yeah.
This was 15 years ago, but he legalized gay marriage in the DC universe in Star City, and he was the liberal leftist Ollie that we all know and love. But then the next episode is called The Candidate. So do you think he's going to be running for mayor?
I also thought that story was great, but I don't know that I want to say I don't know if he's earned it yet, or if it seems like that's where he should be in his life and career right now. I don't think I would write him doing that yet for either showrunner. But there were great stories, and The Candidate. I don't know who else that we're concerned with is going to be running for mayor anymore. We know the city needs a leader. It needs someone to help lead it out of the darkness, and half the city's dead. I mean, I figure it's going to be Ollie, or it's going to be Damian Dark.
I thought that when Dark interrupted he was like, and I'm declaring myself, but he was more like declaring himself the villain. So
yeah, but then he killed the people he told, basically. So I don't know how much that matters.
I have no idea. Okay, so who's dead?
All right, who's dead? My guess is Captain Lance, because they can't kill Black Canary. They could, but I would be shocked, and I would not be pleased. I wouldn't mind seeing Felicity killed, because I don't find her as awesome as everybody else does. But there's no way they're killing her. Everyone loves her, and to be honest, I thought she was great this episode. So I don't know. I find she's so often just the romantic card, like to be the foil for either Oliver or Ray last year to add this like love interest stuff. But yesterday when she was the badass and wasn't being all lovey-dovey and it was Oliver that was being that, I thought it was great.
Yes, they certain. I think they're going to tease like the engagement before killing. I don't think she's going to be the one to die. Boy, if it was her also, there's no way Barry would have been late, right?
That's true. That's a good point.
If it's Captain Lance, I could see Barry being like, all right, I know, whatever. But if it's, if it was Felicity, or if it was,
you're right. Why would Barry even be there if it's Captain Lance?
But I could see it being Diggle.
No, that would suck. Diggle's a character in the comics now. Diggle's so popular that he's. I went to remember Cosmic Comics. They have a sale, I guess, in the fall. They do $1 for all back issues that are priced under $5. So I went and got like all 7 or 8 issues they had of this current Green Arrow run, and read those, and it's good. And Diggle's in it, and he's a major character. He and Felicity both, I think, are too popular and too big a part of this show to kill. This isn't Game of Thrones. This doesn't have to be, oh, we're just super serious and we've got to add the gravity by killing your favorite characters. I don't think it'll go there. Which leaves
like they could bring Roy back and kill him.
That's what I was thinking. I don't think it makes sense being they took him away, but I mean it's either it leaves him, Roy, Thea, or Laurel, right?
Yeah, but if what you're saying, I mean, if what you're saying is true, I think Laurel counts on the main people, even if we don't really like her. They're going to introduce Mr. Terrific. They're going to introduce a few new. Maybe it's like. Then again, it would feel cheap if they teased a death of a character they haven't introduced yet.
It would.
So it really kind of it's going to be one of the main people. It's probably Thea. Ollie goes through Speedy's. They maybe like, heck, maybe there's a version of Connor that replaces him next season or something.
I would be disappointed if it was Thea. Especially now that I'm so pleased with her stunt work and with her portrayal of Speedy. It would be a real shame if she only gets to play Speedy for 10, 11 episodes. So I hope it's not her. But you're right. I mean, they killed his mom. His dad's dead. If it was a Batman comic and you're left with Robin or Alfred who's going to die, you can be pretty confident it's going to be Robin. And
right.
I guess that's why if Felicity's just love interest, even if she's also pretty good at computers, I feel like she's expendable, especially because a single non-married Green Arrow who's tortured with some new demons makes more sense to me than married happy Green Arrow who isn't cheating on his wife or his girlfriend.
I mean that you're right. Ollie would be already cheating on her with somebody, but Barry wouldn't have been late to Felicity's funeral.
No, you're right about that. Okay, but speaking of Ollie would have already been doing stupid stuff. One of my favorite lines of the whole show. I wrote it down because I'm zoning out. What do you say? He says he tries, but. It's about Oliver Queen and when she was when Liza, I think it's her name, when she was telling Diggle like to go back, and he's like, but how can I trust him? And she's like, well, if I got over it, then you should too. You know why he did it? He was trying to do. And she says, Oliver Queen, he's trying, but Oliver Queen doesn't always make the right choice. If he did, and then she takes a breath, and I'm like, I have so many sentences flying out of my head. If he did, then no Connor Hawk. If he did, man, Black Canary would be a lot happier. If he did, endless. Like that's what makes Oliver such a great character. Is he's so human and that he tries so hard and he does it as a superhero. He's one of the best. He's the best archer in the world. Amazing fighter. He's a genius and strategy and handling his business. But when it comes to his personal life and to how to handle his interpersonal relationships, especially, the dude does not always make the correct decision. And I thought that was a great little line. So that's all.
No, I was actually, that was one of the things I was talking about because Lila, there's your dead character. There's your dead character.
That would make the most sense.
It would, because Barry could be late, but he would also like Diggle's a friend, so he would try to be there. It's not Diggle, and that would make sense on a few levels.
It would.
But also, I like the idea of her being like, get over it. Like I work for Argus. Do you know what I do for a living?
Yeah.
Like I would have put me and my baby in danger. Like of course I would have done that. And then Ollie thinks more like. But they've hinted at that before where him and Ollie have been like, or where her and Ollie have been like, yeah, they just don't understand the extreme measures that we have to go to sometimes. So I like that her and Ollie think like, like Argus agents rather than superheroes sometimes.
Yeah, definitely. No, and there's she realized, hey, he's trying to save the whole city. No, he was trying not to fail this city. And to be fair, he didn't hurt the kid, and he didn't really hurt her either. So he used her to kidnap Nisa to put his plan in place. But I agree. I'm gonna get over it. You're there to be his moral center, help him make smarter decisions, and because Team Arrow works like Batman. You know, they had all the right pieces. They had the people to give some advice to make the right decisions, and they make way less mistakes, cover their butts. But Green Arrow by himself, he's gonna save tons of lives, but he's gonna leave a forest fire behind him with his friends and family.
And you know, as happy as Ollie is, I could see him, you know, by the end of the season, I could see that not working. I mean, by all rights, it probably shouldn't work out, you know.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, anyway, so that was a week's worth of comic book shows. Sorry,
I
was gonna say I wish there were more episodes of these shows that I could put on right now.
Me too.
They're all awesome, and I am just excited for like the next, you know, even when they go on breaks, we get substitutes that should hopefully be good from both of them too. So
no, it's exciting time. We still have Supergirl yet to come in the next 2 weeks, and Heroes I haven't watched. It's on tonight, right?
Yeah.
So if we have time, did you watch last week's Heroes? Do you have any thoughts on it?
Not yet. No, I thought about it, and then I wanted to watch the season finale of Arrow to be ready for this season.
No, I did watch the second episode of Heroes, and it was good. It's Heroes is going to have to keep things at a very high level to stay relevant with these other shows where I'm already emotionally attached to the main characters. And
right.
I mean, the only thing it has going is that until Supergirl comes out, Flash is the only show that really uses powers and like superheroes. You know, Arrow's much more like Batman, where he's kind of the street level superhero, and Shield, there's some powers with Daisy and the villains, but not a lot of powers going on still. But you know, until Supergirl comes out, Heroes, it just needs to take advantage of that. It needs to do what it can do to be relevant, and that's what it can do, is to be impressive and big.
Yeah, I mean, I will give last week's and this week's a shot. There is I mean, with Shield roaring ahead with its Inhuman plotline, you know, I struggle with the need for it. But as a nerd who was gifted all of these things, we should not, you know, reject any of them offhand. So
especially since Heroes was a big piece in bringing this all to mainstream TV. I mean, Smallville did a lot of great things, especially those last last two seasons. I can't say enough how pleased I was the last season of Smallville. But Smallville had already established it was more of the niche, you know, CW kind of old school Dawson's Creek almost kind of vibe show. And these guys, they've got a whole new life and a whole broader horizon, and Heroes is a part of it. So hopefully Heroes can be good enough to maintain and keep our interest.
Okay, well, that was a bit longer than we intended, but, you know, the shows are awesome, so what can we say? We will be back next week, and we will see you next week, or whatever.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Thanks for listening. We'll be back next week on hopefully have this out on Friday.
Yeah, Fridays is definitely like to have it up for the weekend. So
sounds good. All right. Well, we'll talk to you soon. Have a great week, and enjoy comic books on TV.
Yeah, enjoy them as we will. All right.